Hello and welcome to MySecTV TV and our Tech and Sec Weekly. My name is Chris Cubbage. I'm the Executive Editor with MySecTV Media, and this is our Friday morning episode. So thanks for tuning in, and I want to check our streams this morning. I don't trust LinkedIn. It's been letting us down. We normally do stream on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. But this morning, we will be joined by Anthony Stevens, the founder and CEO of 6clicks. Now, we've got an exclusive this morning, I'm pleased to say. They have got IRAP Assessment protected now for government. So they're launching their 6clicks for government services. So we'll hear from Anthony, and particularly on the IRAP process, which is a high-level area in terms of the assessments that companies have to go through to get that IRAP certification. So very interesting, and pleased to have Anthony back on since they last raised $5 million. And then we have Dr Habib Rehman, the Director for Asia Pacific with Iconics. And this follows a release from Mitsubishi Electric. They're renewing their SCADA systems lineup. And again, there looks very interesting in terms of the software, and we're going to have Dr. Rehman walk us through what they're doing, Iconics and their SCADA systems for large and small enterprise, things like smart factories and the like. So again, both two interesting sessions that we have. We cover on aerospace and space, defence and national security, cybersecurity and critical technology, and cities and infrastructure. We'll tend to go for that 45 to 60-minute session today. And as I mentioned, we should be streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I'm going to take the opportunity just to check our LinkedIn because it seems to be. And if you happen to be listening on any of those channels, let us know, press like or share us out. And thank goodness today we're actually working. So pleased to have you join us. Say good day. Let us know where you're listening from. And LinkedIn's probably our best channel anyway. So that's why I was always worried if it's not working. Otherwise, you can catch up on our Cybersecurity Weekly podcast. From Tuesday's session, we looked at animal trafficking with Doug Wolfson, the Director for Financial Crime Compliance with LexisNexis Risk Solutions in Hong Kong, and how they're using advanced technology to track that particular crime type. Very good from Doug. And thank you, Matthew. Good to have you back on LinkedIn, so appreciate the comment. And then we also went to Israel, and we've been working with Daniel Ehrenreich on a SCADA ICS cybersecurity workshop at the moment. And the Natanz atomic facility got attacked with an explosion as well. But again, this is an ongoing set of circumstances. But the Natanz facility would be initially famous from the 2010 Stuxnet incident as well. So that was a good session with Daniel, and a good segue into the SCADA and ICS cybersecurity workshop. We've done 4 sessions. There's another 4 to go, so you can catch up, and we will be allowing these sessions to be purchased individually as well. But Daniel has a great wealth of knowledge, and he goes into a lot of detail into these sessions. So again, if that's of interest to you for industrial control system cybersecurity, please check that out. Speaking of IoT security, we had Itay Moa and also Chris Althus last week. On last Friday's episodes, where we looked at IoT security and endpoint protection, and also 5G with the Australian Mobile Telecommunications Association, and that is now available as a podcast. Supporting our Top Women in Security ASEAN Region Awards and our Cybersecurity Weekly podcast. They're the latest 2, so you can check those out. And also get your copy of the Cyber Risk Leaders magazine, some 20-odd articles, and a link out to the podcasts and the TV sessions. Thank you very much to RSA and their RSA Secure ID Suite for sponsoring us, and also ALC are still with us with their cybersecurity certification courses. So if you're looking at getting, and we'll be talking about some of these with IRAP, if you want to be an IRAP assessor, you're going to need at least one of these to be involved with that. If you want to support the channel without spending too much money, you can check out our Cyber War series, and these are our advanced persistent threats of the panda, the Russian bear, and the Indian tiger. So check those out as well. So that's enough from me, and otherwise you can go to the marketplace and see what's new there. But let me bring on Anthony Stevens, the founder and CEO of 6clicks. Anthony, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thanks, Chris.
We had you on not that long ago, actually, so it's good to have you back on so soon. And on your way to be a billion-dollar company, I think was the main one, and also COVID native was the other key term that came out of that session.
Yeah.
IRAP Protected for 6clicks for government. Talk us through. It's we haven't had a sort of IRAP assessed or certified company come on following the process. So appreciate you using this platform to sort of tell the story and make the announcement. It's under embargo at the moment, but all the details will come out next week. So let us know what the update is.
Yeah, of course. So we launched our platform sort of about 18 months ago. As you know, it's used by advisors and businesses to help them with cyber risk and compliance. The thing is that we saw a gap in the market, essentially related to the needs of the public sector, particularly obviously defence, local, state, federal government in Australia, and their information security needs are obviously unique and set out under the ISM. And so we sort of invested in building an instance of our platform that we've had assessed now, independently assessed to the protected IRAP protected level, and we're announcing that next week. I guess we're announcing that today. So we're announcing that next week formally across a number of channels. We've been working with Microsoft on that. So our technology stack runs on the Microsoft Azure platform, and so in order to be at the IRAP protected level, we've got another instance that's running on the Canberra data center instance, or Azure data center instance. And as I said, we've been through the assessment process and now able to offer that as a very unique service, being a sovereign business to the public sector. So very exciting.
Well, maybe talk us through the process, because I know there'll be a number of CEOs and sort of cybersecurity companies very interested in this. I'm interested more from the assessor's viewpoint too. I've always kind of looked, there's IRAP assessors are in hot demand. And the process, where the initial process that came through, was it always on your roadmap, or again you saw the gap in the market, that chatter around IRAP assessments? Right. And they went through that policy review last year as well. I'm pretty sure it was last year, and the policy's dated December 2020, so it's still quite fresh. Yeah. So this the process you went through. Yeah,
we actually went through the traditional process. Sorry, just to correct something I shared with you earlier, but that said, we saw 6clicks for government, which is the brand that we're wrapping around this offering, as being sort of fundamental to our strategy right from the early days when we founded the business back in 2019. And the reason for that is to obviously recognise the fact that so much of the activity that gets done around risk and compliance in the public sector is manual, right? Like even the IRAP assessment itself, and the assessors that work in that space, and anyone who's sort of trying to tackle risk and compliance in the public sector tends to just use spreadsheets and Word documents. And we looked at the market and said, okay, well, we've got some fantastic technology. We've got all the content baked into our platform, particularly obviously the ISM, but we've also got VPDSS, the Queensland standards, the New South Wales standards, all of the content that you would need in the Australian market. And so with that context, we said, okay, in order to sort of get a ticket to the game and distinguish ourselves as the go-to platform for the public sector, we needed to get to that, protected level of assessment. And we completed that recently, and so launching that service in a number of different forms, from next week.
And the IRAP assessment process, in finding an IRAP assessor, did you have any partners along the way, or did you use a firm or an independent assessor?
We used an independent. The reason for that is we obviously, our business model is to do, we work with a number of, the consulting firms out there, right? So we thought, for reasons of sort of independence, it made sense to go with an independent.
Yeah, they must have been upset. They're like, "Oh, we've got a conflict of interest. We already use you. We can't use use our own assessors, right?" Yeah, we wanted to avoid any of those optics or issues associated with conflict. So we picked an independent assessor, and Andrew Robinson, who actually looks after our cybersecurity for us internally and also our go-to-market, has extensive background in that space himself, right? So he's
he's a IRAP
Yep.
assessor, and so obviously knows how to navigate the process.
Did you have trouble finding one? Were they available when you wanted them, or did you have to wait?
I think, like Andrew spent quite a bit of time, finding the right person. We did that. Like I think, it took a few months. We obviously started that process last year, getting ready for the audit that we just did, in the last month or so. But look, there's not a lot of IRAP assessors out there, right? And as you know, so we got that.
Okay, and what did you learn out of the process? Was it a painful process, expensive process? The part of the review that ASD did, and that whole process was taking up to 2 or 3 years for companies to go through, and it was quite costly. How did you find that process?
Look, I guess we're fortunate. The nature of our business and the software that we've built gives us the ability to, we understand these things, pretty intimately. Practically speaking, we started the process over 12 months ago to start preparing the policies and the controls and working with Microsoft to understand what technical controls, they can provide that, we can leverage, as well as putting our own control frameworks in place. So, it's been probably a very deliberate but slow burn for some time. And so, we got to the point last week where we, felt confident that we've got all the necessary controls in place. In terms of costs, we've obviously got direct costs with auditors to come in and provide us with that assessment. But most of the cost was incurred internally. So, yeah.
And do you find that there's a good cost benefit there? Even worst case scenario, you don't pass, but again, you find those gaps where you need to be. But between the audit and the assessment process, and then getting that certification, and now the opportunities being able to service government, the cost benefit is a bit of a no-brainer for you.
I think it's a ticket to if we look at the market in Australia, we're not aware of any other sovereign, as in Australian-owned, headquartered, managed business with an offering like ours that has managed to achieve that protected level assessment. So in that sense, it positions us really uniquely within this market to service the public sector. So in that sense, the sort of return on investment is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. It is something that companies do. Obviously, we get fed a lot of that PR where, if they get through it, then it is a major announcement for the company. So so good on you for that. And I suppose it's cyber.gov.au has the IRAP update policy on their website, and even down to whether you want to be an IRAP assessor. I think it's only the Canberra Institute of Technology and the Australian Cybersecurity Collaboration Centre in Adelaide and Canberra are running the courses with Tran there over at the A3C. So it's definitely an interesting one to get into. So look, we'll come back to that next week. We'll have the full details on the Australian Cybersecurity Magazine website. But thank you for that, Anthony. And the other big news this week, I suppose you couldn't push them both out in the same week, so you're separating it over. But Matt Jide has joined your board. Talk us through this major announcement.
Yeah, look, we're really excited to have Matt join our board as a non-executive independent director. He's based in San Francisco, which is fantastic, as we're seeing a lot of growth and focused very deliberately on the US and I guess markets outside of Australia as well as Australia. Matt's the former global head of NTT Security, which was over $1 billion business. Yep. He's got a extensive network, and we're delighted that he's been been interested and has now joined our board. So fantastic win for us on that front, and obviously, as you said, backed up next week with this announcement around 6 clicks for government. So
great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, we've had NTT on before, and obviously Matt is also formerly with Dimension Data when they took that over as well. So how has this just been, like, he's just joined the board?
Just joined in the last couple of weeks. Like, obviously we went through the formalities internally a few weeks ago, but we just announced it this week. Matt stepped down, like he was in his previous role until the end of last month, right? So this is part of his next chapter, if you like, in terms of his career. And as I said, it's been great to have him join.
So it was just a timing thing. He kind of became available.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, we've been looking to get someone of that caliber in the US market for some time. We've been sort of looking at a number of different options. Matt just ticked all the boxes in spades. He's got the industry expertise. He's obviously a fantastic leader. Really great guy to work with. Has a huge network, and lots of understanding of kind of where the market is, but more importantly, kind of where it's going. So that's the kind of support we need at the board level.
Nice. Well, the details, in fact, I'll stick the details, the link into the show notes now. But and you've got there's a comment here from Ian Buttery, who's your chairman. Maybe what's Ian's background?
So Ian's he's the chair of a number of different companies. He's had an extensive background in supporting growth of high-tech businesses, through to successful exits, and a number of those around the world. So yeah, he's been our chairman for a while now, and doing a fantastic job.
Very good. And you've only got 4 on your board. Are you looking at adding more to that as you grow? You've like you said, you're on your way to a $1 billion business. So 4 of you, it's going to be a challenge with 4 of you. But yeah, what's the process now? Yeah,
we've got our founders, and we've got now 3 independent directors, as well as myself, so that's 4. Look, we're looking to obviously strengthen our board over time, most likely with another appointment in the probably the US market or perhaps the UK market, focused on the areas that we're looking to grow, probably around cybersecurity as well.
Very good. Well, look, if you've got any questions of Anthony, fire them through now. But look, thank you so much. Was there any other updates that you've got coming through before I forget one?
There'll be more. We'll be in touch, Chris, probably in a few weeks' time. There's some really exciting stuff coming down the pipeline. So
no, very good. It's a good one from an Australian perspective. And again, I haven't got it on me right now, but if you want to go to MySecTV, you can see Anthony's first session with us on there as well. And again, we'll put these together. We'll cross-link them over. And it's a good story to follow on your way up to $1 billion. When you get listed, at least I'll be able to get some shares. So that's the concept.
We'll keep you posted, Chris.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. Let me just sort my thing out. But thank you. That was Anthony Stevens, founder and CEO of 6clicks. And they are now IRAP protected. So they've got 6clicks for government. Best of success, Anthony.
Thanks very much, Chris. Have a great time.
I'll let you go. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. Bye. Okay, and let me just get these captions sorted. And without further ado, very good. That's more of the business side. And if you're a startup, a founder, or a CEO, I think it's worth looking at in terms of the learnings as you watch these companies grow and move outside the Australian market, as well as cement themselves in the Australian market, as 6clicks is doing. Now, this is a bit of a hot of interest for us at the moment with our SCADA and ICS cybersecurity courses, and this looks very interesting technology. I'm going to bring in Dr. Habib Rehman, the Director Asia Pacific with Iconics. I've got to call you Habib. I'd rather call you Dr. Rehman.
No, you can call me Habib. That's fine.
Good man.
Good day.
Yeah, look, thank you so much. And we've got some bit of a slide presentation with you, and I can move that over, but maybe introduce us to Iconics and your role there as Director Asia Pacific.
Yeah, I've been working with Iconics for over 24 years now in various positions, and I've been as a Director for Asia Pacific taking care of business development in the region, and been working with various customers, OEM partners, and now a special role coordinating with Mitsubishi Electric as well. So,
and you're an engineer by background?
Yeah, I got my basic degree, master's in mathematics, and then went for artificial intelligence from University of Sheffield. That was in 1993 when neural networks were being very initially introduced, and fuzzy logic and some of those things. So now we can see a lot in the machine learning, and a lot of applications been developed over the period of time. Yeah, so it's been interesting to see those academic research coming up to the practical life. Yeah.
It's an exciting time, is it not? This is why, again, when I looked at the platform and the integration of sort of the digital twin approach and the augmented and virtual reality, and the processing power of data, you must, if you look back and then look at where we're heading, you must think you're 20. I do. I think I wish I was 20 years younger, because it's extremely exciting at the moment, right?
Well, yeah, from the digital processing power, you can imagine that I had an Amstrad with 512K RAM, and I upgraded to 640, and I was so proud to change the speaker with 640K RAM on it, So that's and the first machine we had was 386 with some additional processor to do the back propagation learning of neural networks at that time, and we were very proud of having that machine in the lab. So from there now to, you can see how far we went into where we have the parallel processing, the actual cloud computing, and it's unimaginable, the development over the period. Especially I see, because I've been working with Iconics from that point of view, and when we introduced the web interface to the market, and we went to the industry, and our customer said, no way, we're not going to have our system, control system on the web. And it took us a little bit of time, but now you can imagine that's not possible to have any system without the web interface and without having the client choices. And now we can see that we are moving into this augmented reality, virtual reality, concept of digital twins, IoT, and some of these words have changed the perspective. But I keep on telling my customers and clients, we've been doing IoT over the lease lines and the dial-up modems and the microwaves for years now.
Yeah.
But that's how you can see things.
Well, again, we have a strong security audience too, and I think as you say, they're web interfaced. So the security becomes paramount, and safety is always paramount when we're talking about SCADA and industrial control systems. But I'll let you walk through, because again, I think we need to get a sense of scale with Iconics as well. And I take it this is Mitsubishi Electric's, you're independent to Mitsubishi Electric, and they use the platform. What's the relationship there?
Okay, we have been independent till 2019, and then we became part of the Mitsubishi group of companies. So now we've been part of the Mitsubishi group, and before that, Mitsubishi have been our OEM partners, and they were rebranding the software under a brand called MCWorks. But that's now been I will discuss that has been brand consolidation. And it's the benefit for both, Yeah.
Very good. I should have just gone to that first slide where you had about Iconics. So 6-time Microsoft Partner of the Year winner. And you're obviously across all industry sectors with 375,000 installations worldwide, some 400 partners. Yeah, talk us through, you're pretty much in every industry, right?
Yeah, and with Microsoft, we have different relationships. We've been using Microsoft Stack for the development. Microsoft been our marketing partner, as well as I will share in a couple of other slides as well. Microsoft been our customer as well, so that's an interesting relationship. So we have got quite a strong presence in various vertical industries, automotive and building, defense, oil and gas. So as you can see on the slide that we've been working with Pentagon for more than 20 years, retail industry, some of the names from building industries, mining sector, a lot of airports, a lot of manufacturing industry. So it's a whole blend of application. I have seen many of the interesting applications and visited customer sites, which was like Disney and rides, and so pharmaceutical industry, control towers at the airport. We've been data centers.
See, this is what I have FOMO. I have fear of missing out because, again, all of those are of interest to me. But that's why we cover on this channel. As I mentioned, we cover cities and infrastructure, and it's the technology is pervasive everywhere, and it really is changing. This next slide on the campus. Do you want to talk us through the Microsoft Redmond campus?
Yeah, so that was quite an interesting application and a challenging as well. That they build up those several buildings, more than 125 buildings in a campus, and over a period of 10 years probably, and then they had 6-7 vendors providing various brands and various hardware, software, and bringing them everything together into one control room kind of environment was a challenge, and that's what we went in and worked with Microsoft. We learned from them as well. We learned from their demands and their asks as well from customer point of view. And we put up a system, and it's been there for now more than 6 years, bringing all those buildings. And now it's more than 138 buildings globally connected into the Redmond control room. And it's you can see a lot of videos and a lot of other things for that application. And out of that, the big change was 20 to 25% reduction cost on the energy, and that has given the whole return of investment for Microsoft as well, which was mind-boggling. And I mean, the scale of the application is more than 500,000 data points over the whole campus.
And that's a pure Azure platform. Obviously, Microsoft would want to do that in Azure. But all of those from the PLCs and the sensors through those gateways are straight into a pure cloud platform.
Yeah, we started with initially started with on-premise servers, and then we moved on everything to the cloud environment, going through the IoT hub and the edge as well. So there are those gateways, which we can talk about a little bit later as well with a little bit more information. But the challenge is that to get the existing information into a new perspective as well, and having advanced analysis and getting the information, useful information, which helps in making the decision, as well as doing some automatic control as well, and doing some alerts and faults and those kind of things. So it helps basically as a facility manager or as a facility technician to prioritize what to do next, instead of being reactive and waiting for something to break down. You become more proactive, and now you can schedule, and you know what's coming up in next 6 weeks. What are your preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance schedules? So you become more proactive, and also it adds up the visibility. And I mean, that's very interesting as part as well, which came out as another outcome of whole of this installation or study, was that there were many hidden things which came out and become visible to the management as well, and that action was taken to fix those and to correct those which were not available before.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I mean, facility managers, this is not a new story. Building automation in integrated systems, but the skill set of the facility manager has changed predominantly as well over the last sort of decade, as well as these systems have gotten smarter and feeding them more intelligence as well.
Well, that's right. And some of the challenges were that the work experience and the knowledge people they gain on the field was not documented anywhere into the system. So they were actually carrying the hammer, and they know where to strike it, but it was not documented. So what we have done is basically, with the fault rules and facility analytics type of advanced analysis, we have taken their experience and converted those into the fault rules, and now their experience has been part of the system and the documentation, which tells us, okay, if this kind of alert comes up, this is my detection. So what is my diagnostic, which says what could be the cause for triggering this alert, and what is the probable fix for that, what I'm going to do as next. But not only that, in an option which customers can take is, which I like it from my control point of view, is having some kind of action taken, which says if this kind of alert comes up or a fault comes up, how can I bring my system to a safety sequence or a situation where we are not going to cause an harm to our operation. So I can change those parameters automatically and bring them to the safety operation level till somebody comes up and takes over. So for example, I mean, we find out there is a huge noise or a vibration, increase in RPM or rapid increase into the energy consumption. What I'm going to do is I'm going to definitely send an alert, but at the same time, before somebody comes up, I need to actually control the situation. Means I can also have my logic in the rule, which says, okay, why not I change the set point and bring that to a safety operational levels automatically till somebody comes and overrides it again.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things of hopefully the cybersecurity aspects are getting built in and by design. In that, again, we're still dealing with a lot of legacy systems. What I'll do, I'll move to the next slide, and we'll actually talk about the new kind of lineup.
That's interesting because we are on the other side of the cybersecurity. So yes, obviously, when you look into the cybersecurity part of it, my take is that it's not a golden bullet or whatever, golden pill. I mean, it has to be built in into every aspect. I started up with Iconics as a QA manager, and on my door was that when we are doing a QA, it's not the cherry on the cake. QA is basically the recipe where we blend the whole cake into the, So basically, the cybersecurity is actually part of the whole recipe, and it has to be part of each node and each aspect of it. Absolutely, yes.
Has there been much change in terms of the PLC design as well as, from that security perspective? Often, the legacy systems with PLCs and the like sitting out in the field with cybersecurity was not a big factor, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, really. But, I think that would have changed by now, and it's inbuilt into these systems where, default settings have to be changed on a PLC now, and, password strength and the like still need to be implemented. The system won't work otherwise.
Yeah, there is a lot of things, a lot of progress, a lot of work has been done on that part as well. And not only that, the major, you can say the major bleed or vulnerability was the connectivity, and somebody can connect to it. And then, so this OPC UA interface, which is part of the PLC, built-in PLC now, is that now instead of opening up the connection to every possibility, you can have only enable that and OPC UA interface, for example. And now you have to exchange your certificates and the string, and then that's the only place where you can. So there are many other mechanisms as well, similar to that, where the PLC connectivity is hardening as well. So that's another way of doing it.
Very good. You can see I'm learning a great deal from Daniel on his course. This is, I think that's like the third time we've had Daniel with us. So let me just raise this one. Sorry, hang on. Here we go. I lost where I was. Talk us through the new SCADA lineup, because now we're talking augmented reality systems as well.
Yeah, so basically that's a major big step after Iconics became part of the Mitsubishi Group company, that we will be taking the benefit of the great experience the Mitsubishi have got on plant floor, and they've been having a great presence as operator terminals, HMI screens on the plant floor. And what we have done is we have aligned our solution and using that industrial experience and expanding it to multi-level, multi-site integration as well. So this is the first time. What we are doing is we are creating the space, utilizing whatever is existing investment on the plant floor, factory floor, and taking to the next level, which is that getting the data, managing the data, turning this data into useful information, and also providing the visibility, which is the major focus for Iconics, or has been a major focus for Iconics for 35 years, is that adding the visibility to the whole perspective. And
I can see you've got multilingual user interface switching there as well. So again, if you need to get technical support, you can get it in any language along the way.
Yeah, I mean, the user interface is pretty interactive as well. I mean, because we can imagine in a situation now where we have remote experts log into the sites in China or Korea, and they've been using the user interface in Chinese and Korean language, but the expert could be from UK or Germany, for example. So they can click a button and switch that whole user interface into their own understanding language as well. So that's a good part of it.
I like cybersecurity's down there at the bottom of each node, and again, at least we're on the list. From a security perspective,
it should be on top of it. But
I was going to say, for this audience,
I put it down at the bottom so we can remember it. That it's even if it is on premise or cloud or AR VR, we are taking seriously the cybersecurity as part of it. Everything. All the internal client server communication is completely encrypted, and it's been protected as well.
Yeah. Nice. So this is what you kind of get. And how switchable is it, say, from a mobile through to a sort of 3D or AR, MR, or VR environment? How is it back down to the device that you're using?
Yeah, we actually detect from the device what kind of device you have got, and we have interactive screen sizing and a user interface. The 2D, 3D is also been supported with HoloLens and RealWear devices as well, which make those very interactive. And when we tie up those with SCADA mapping as well, now we can track with the permission, definitely with the permission of the users, we can track their location, and we can automatically identify, for example, if they are in a particular pumping station, close to the pumping station, we can automatically open up those information of that particular pumping station onto their HoloLens or RealWear device, for example. So there's a kind of a concept of Geo Fencing and those kind of things as well.
Yeah. I mentioned we spoke to AMTAR last week on 5G, and really that 5G provides that mobility now, not just the connectivity. We've had connectivity, but now we have full mobility at speed and scale. So how much of a 5G does that make, particularly for, say, out in the field, putting on a RealWear or probably not a HoloLens, but a RealWear, would have access to the network and being able to do remote technical guidance for the field engineer and the field operator. Is that something that you're finding more and more is now being done?
Yeah, that's very interesting area, and especially when it comes to the complex machines, complex assets, and in a facility with the 3D visualization. And when we talk about 3D visualization, we are also talking about connecting with the real-time data and the fault and alarms as well. So you're not only having a pre-canned 3D visualization, but when you load up the 3D visualization application, you are getting real-time data from that machine, and it is telling you what is the level or where exactly which component was in a alert or a fault state as well.
Yep.
So that connectivity and high-speed mobility adds up certainly a value, and we look forward for expanding the 5G applications. It will take, there is adoption rate, and the industry is a little bit one step slower as compared to the other commercial customers. Yep. But the manufacturing industry is normally very cautious about taking those things, as you know.
Well, that's a fair point. Which industry do you find is really leading the way here, and which one might be lagging? Are you finding like manufacturing and health moving forward faster, or sort of the larger critical infrastructure operators, utilities and the like, might be slower because they've got bigger, older systems? But yeah, which industries are really moving forward fast?
It is depending on various geographical boundaries, if we are talking about Australia right now, I mean, we haven't gone much into the manufacturing, but we see the consumer goods warehouse distribution applications.
Yeah, warehousing, right? Yeah,
warehousing, and there are huge warehousing coming up, automated, completely automated, and you can imagine, for example, 10-story conveyor belt system and storage system in a 3D, where you have tons of or thousands of boxes being moved, and then finding out where is actually the stuck, where any of the box is stuck or where is the issue. That's a fast application. A growing business right now is the warehouse applications in Australia.
Yeah, I've noticed that, particularly in application of robotics in warehousing too. There's immediate return on that investment. And regionally, how are you finding APAC and where maybe Australia sits there?
In APAC, we see a lot of interest in smart building, smart nation. So that's, I mean, Singapore was leading into smart nation internally, and then that has triggered smart utilities and smart terminals, rail. Energy is another big sector. Data centers are growing. A lot of expansion actually in the data center, especially with this situation where everybody is depending on the data centers. So yeah.
Very good. Okay, we'll move through the modular architecture. Yeah, maybe talk us through how this is working. It looks like you've got quite a number of partners there that all feed into Iconics as well.
Yeah, when we go into the field, we come up with a challenge of various systems, subsystems, providers, vendors, and everybody using their own protocols and some of their standards. So that's what we have done, is we have specialized in connecting to multiple protocols to access this data. And that's what we have done, is providing OPC, BACnet, SNMP. So these are PLC level protocols as well as the IT level protocols as well. So we are trying to basically bridge the OT and IT environment together, and that's where Iconics specialty comes up. And then we are providing where application services and modular approach with the pick and choose. So instead of having one mammoth system, we can have a very scalable, selectable system where you say, okay, I can only choose or pick whatever I need to use, and we deploy those applications as well. So this is kind of a modular application where you can grow from small to a bigger, larger enterprise level system. Yeah.
And what I don't want to get you on notice, but the standards, everything is standardized now as well, right? So particularly on data structure, even at the data level,
yeah,
they're all pretty much standardized now. So it is increasingly plug and play, or you're still finding you got to bring people over and get API development and the like for each time?
Well, I would say most of the customers have got this awareness for the standardized, and they are asking for those protocols to be supported when they are making decisions and they are deploying those. But still, we have applications still in the industry where specific proprietary protocols are in place, and where we have to write some bridging code or software. I mean, just imagine that. I mean, it was not required, rather it was not asked for it before, but now people, they say, we want to have live streaming CCTV streaming with HMI SCADA software. So we want to, when the alert comes up with 3D and whatever, I want to see the live streaming as well. So how can we do it if the CCTV cameras are not supported with some standard protocol like OnWave or other protocols?
Yeah.
So we've been doing those and putting those together.
And it is that high level interface that proprietary software still resists. They don't want to provide that interface, and you can ask for it, but sometimes they don't want to give it away.
Yeah, but I think they have learned over the period of time that their survival is on standard
integration
and integration. But that and that is actually also causing or challenging is challenging in a way from the cybersecurity as well. So when we are selecting a protocol, we have to make sure that that standard protocol has to be protected very well through various layers of security as well. I mean, like OPC UA, provide certain levels of certificates exchange and MQTT and other IoT edge and those kind of IoT hub as well. Yeah.
I am a bit of a skeptic, Habib, and the more complexity you build, there's particularly when there's code involved, there'll be a vulnerability in there somewhere. So from a pen tester and hacker community, there's plenty coming their way where they can keep playing and breaking things, and that's the idea. Talk us through network discovery for MelSex. What's this one?
Well, when we have aligned up our solution and applications with Mitsubishi, the first thing was that how can we bring in all the existing investment of Mitsubishi customers into integrated system and multi-site level of integration. So the challenge was how can we do that quickly and fastly. So we have put up a network discovery tool, and we discover what are the existing PLCs and other devices available from Mitsubishi. And now we just give them, first of all, their IP addresses, and now then we need to go through the security to define how we can connect to those as well. So that's the first step.
So you can map your network, basically.
Map our network.
And is that just an agent that goes out across the network finding anything? And is it only Mitsubishi? What about other sort of PLCs and other equipment out there that might be connected to the network?
We have a very similar thing for BACnet devices and SNMP devices as well, and Ethernet IP as well. So, yeah, but many of the other devices like Siemens or other brands have their own proprietary protocols for the discovery. We haven't integrated those, but we can use OPC interface for those. Yeah.
Okay, but it should tell you that something is connected to the network that maybe it's not discoverable or can't be integrated. But it should tell you that there's an IP address there.
If we don't see right now, the capability is that if we can get the response for the device, we can show in the list. But if we don't have in the list, that means we are not able to communicate with that probably.
So you won't even see it?
We don't see it, yeah.
Okay, got it. That's always something to be aware of in your SCADA network, is you want to know what's there. If you can't see it, but it's there, you could be in trouble. The analytics looks pretty good too in terms of the dashboard that you're getting. I take it this is fully customizable and to whatever you want to do?
Yeah, that was a challenge when we integrate multiple subsystems and applications and databases and so on and so forth. Then mapping those into a dashboard kind of environment was very difficult. So we put up a BI server application, which give us a multi source visualization or access to multi source mapping. So now you can easily map some of the data coming from SQL Server and some of the data coming from PLC and map them together into a customizable user interface. And that's what we are calling it KPI works. And these are very easy to create and easy to customize user level dashboards. So you do not need to be pre-canned, or you do not need to compile those anything. They could be on anything online, and you can move them around as per your requirements are.
Nice.
So
it's a good record. If you do it properly, I can imagine it's highly informative across the business. And this is the next level, which I have most interest in as well, of how you then visualize that data and also visualize the systems. If you've got a digital twin, and I take it the digital twin now, you're seeing that increasingly coming through. Obviously, the application of, say, the CAD designs are just automatically uploaded. The ASCON drawings are all put in there, and then all the user guides and everything else, everything to do, maintenance records, all of that becomes accessible in the digital twin. And then how it's then visualized for the operator, both in the field, but also in the design and maintenance level.
Yeah, what happened was that the traditional HMI SCADA applications where you have multiple pages and you develop your navigation with the push buttons or check boxes to go to the next page and next page. We took a different approach, and we have got something called asset works or asset tree hierarchy, where you can actually define your physical word assets and then map those to the digital world as well. So you can have your a building or facility, and then sections and areas, production line, machines, down to the machine motor level or a drive level as well. So everything comes up as a parent-child relationship.
Yep.
And what we have done is also that when you want to build your graphics, you do not need to build those from scratch. You can import AutoCAD drawings or Collada 3D drawings, or even the building mapping system, vector graphics, and immediately bring those and map those or connect with the real-time data. So that's one of the neat feature or nice feature is that mapping those, connecting those. So you have got a machine or a motor or exhaust fan or whatever you want to call it with the real-time animation. The data is coming from the real-time data and the PLC and the device. So what it is representing is what the physical world is. So that's exactly the digital twin representation of the digital twin. And by the way, it's not only view. If you want to have a push button or a click right onto that, you can turn it off as well, or you can change the speed.
Right. So that pure physical digital interface is you press a virtual button, and you might as well be pressing the physical button, right?
Well, with HoloLens and the RealWear devices, we have also integrated with the voice control, so you can actually have the lights turn on and off with the voice control and those kinds
Nice.
of things. So,
Did you say voice control?
Yeah, it's a voice
That's
control.
that one here.
Yeah, that's one here. So yeah, absolutely. So imagine, I don't know how people would be working in a control room environment, but this is where you have multiple voices coming up. But that's what as a feature functionality is available. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm just seeing vulnerabilities here, left, right, and center with a voice activated, but to counter that, it could be an extra layer of security too if you've got voice recognition sitting over the top of that as a sort of an extra control that you might have if it is a critical system or a critical function that's about to take place as well.
Yeah, what we have done is understanding these kind of situations. What we have done is we have developed a concept of a gateway, and in that gateway, we actually open up what is required to the outside world. So this is the first level of defense we have got. Instead of opening up everything from the remote side to the outside world, we are limiting what is absolutely necessary and what level is necessary to the outside world. And that is monitor only, or monitor or control. And if it is a control, what should be the limit of that control? So you can still have that possibility of control, but that control would be within the safety parameters. So it's not going to damage anything, or it's not going to harm anything outside that. Yeah.
How much are you seeing with this in, say, buildings, sort of residential buildings and the like? Are you seeing this being applied across for a smart building? But if it's a residential building and you've got down to voice machine interface, you could start to apply this across the network wherever you want it, including the actual user of a space.
Yeah, right now, because of this, the implementation scale, we do see more on the commercial side, industrial side buildings. Hasn't gone to the residential scale yet, but we have got a lot of customers been using at commercial level, industrial level, mostly at industrial commercial level as well. And those are very interesting applications.
Yeah. Well, this is how I view it in terms of this technology. If it's available at an industrial scale, it eventually will be sort of our standard lifestyle in sort of 10 or so years, where it's all normal, really.
Well, things, I mean, the commercialization changes the whole aspect of the things. The first time I saw the touch screen was in Iconic's lab 24 years ago. And that was kind of putting up extra screen on top of this existing VGA monitor and connecting the serial port behind it. So it was a resistive screen on top. But then the actual touch screen comes up on a mobile phone, and it changes the whole prospect from.
And likewise with voice control, I've seen the voice control CCTV monitoring. Bring up camera 50 and up it comes, You don't have to touch anything. You can just have that voice control. So it's a very powerful aspect. And I know I had a QR code question there. I can see you can then apply QR codes and different wearables as well. If anything, it becomes a bit of a design challenge, doesn't it, from the end user of what do you want? So that scope really becomes critical because they have so many options here, and it has to be designed for them. It comes down to user experience becomes critical. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's you are right in that, but it also gives the choice. Basically, if they really need it, if they have a situation where they want to deploy it,
so it's
giving them
modularized. They can just add it on and take it off
Yeah.
as required relatively easily.
Absolutely. So this is kind of giving them a choice. Now, imagine if we are in a pharmaceutical industry, or we are in a clean room environment, and we don't want to touch anything, where we need to have something for the voice control and some other things. So these are similarly, we want to open up some detail. All we have to do is, instead of touching anything on our device, we can have a QR code or a barcode scanning, and once we do that, it would immediately open up all the PDF files, instructions, real-time data, graphic display, whatever information you need, because it recognizes as the data information or the asset information. So there are situations we could be in a lift shaft, we could be in a clean room, we could be in any confined space where we don't have. People, they have gloves, for example, on a manufacturing floor. Or a furnace, for example. I've been to some of the Australian car industry where we had furnace controls, and it's not easy to do even the touch screen. So that's where these kind of controls and these kind of options help you to take in. If you really need those, then they are available.
Very good. And then the other one here, just conscious of time, we might fire through these, but you've got Geo Fencing as well.
Yeah, when some alert comes up, we want to know who is the right resource, who is the guy who can fix it, where his boundaries are. So we just pass on to using the Geo Fencing connected field services and get the attention, and yeah.
And then IoT work. So this takes you through, again, I suppose once you're into that Azure platform, you can then access that anywhere, and the APIs become a bit more available as well.
Yeah, one of the challenge within the industry, you can talk about IoT in a consumer level as well, or you can talk about IoT on an industrial level. So where we are talking more industrial level, thousands of field devices already existing, and they don't have a built-in IoT interface, no MQTT support or no REST API and those kind of things. So what we have done is we have developed an IoT works software which runs on a gateway, and that provides the backend connectivity, and that's where we do the normalization, as well as it helps us as a firewall filtering and security implementation. So, and once we connect through the IoT hub, the provisioning and programming and configuration is all through remote application. So we do not need to actually be physically available on that remote site to configure and connect to those assets. So it's everything through Azure Cloud. So that's another power of it. And
how have you found? It's a bit of a left COVID-19 environment now. With that, there's a bit of an advantage there if you don't have to go to site and that remote access. So a bit of a two-pronged attention. Have you found these systems have benefited from sort of COVID-19 in terms of user cases examples, but also how have you found the market during COVID-19? Have you experienced a bit of a downturn and you're seeing a bit of an uptake now?
I would put in a different perspective. I wouldn't say that we have taken the advantage of COVID-19,
no,
but I would say that I
didn't mean that. Yeah,
I would say that these options actually helped us to recover and get out of that situation or cope that situation. And absolutely, you are right that and these solutions have been taken up, and we see a lot of implementation, a lot of interest. Those customers who were already using, they immediately benefited, but who are not, they actually started looking into it and started talking to us that how can they expand that. And by the way, that would be a norm as well, that now it opens up the possibilities of remote, and they have changed those protocols and they have changed those practices, which they were not considering those before of such kind of design implementations.
Yeah, I think with that restricted travel, getting those experts around to do the commissioning and the like. I know there's a big system up in Queensland couldn't get commissioned because the Koreans couldn't get into the country. You just don't want that infrastructure sitting there that can't be commissioned. You have to be able to potentially, you could commission a system remotely. Is that a reasonable case study to think about?
Absolutely. So that's exactly what it is. So we have the same thing that all you need to do is just ship that gateway to the site and plug it into the network, and all the provisioning, handshaking, everything, security setup, configuration, everything is remote, and even the software updates and everything is done remotely. Absolutely.
Okay, we've got secure by default installation, so that's a good one to have.
What we've seen that over a period of time, that when we were installing the software, they were leaving some of the default passwords and those kind of things. So we have now more security and more things by default. So when they install, we have got everything secure by default option, and then they can take it for the level as well. And the security is quite flexible and tight in a way that you can control even single point of the node in terms of read and write, as well as which user has to log on to which PC. So we can actually force that this user is only accessible from this particular server, and those kind of things. So that's what I'm saying. That
so it's like the privileged access management principles, really, so of down to time, location, device,
location, time, and those kind of things. So it's a security to the down to the node level, and every packet and every command level as well.
Very good. Okay, as long as it's calibrated in the correct way. So look, thank you so much for that. To find out more, maybe send us through the white paper. There's also a cybersecurity threats ebook. Okay, so flick those through and we'll share those out in the show notes. But otherwise, thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. And that's Dr. Habib Rehman, the Director for Asia Pacific for Iconics. Thank you. Very interesting. And it is it's an industry I'd love to sort of get more into, or just play around. I just want to play around with the glasses and the goggles.
Thanks for having us. Thank you for having and giving us a chance to present that. Nice talking to you and listening to Anthony and your presentation.
Thanks, Habib. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Appreciate your time. We've gone slightly over time, and I'll wrap things up. So appreciate it. All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Okay, conscious of time, but thank you. That was very interesting, extremely interesting technology. And one more plug for our SCADA and ICS cybersecurity course with Daniel Ehrenreich in Israel. And again, all of that will make sense if you happen to be on this course or are interested in learning more. Now, report of the day, as I do, and then we'll finish off that the Modern Bank Heist 4.0 report from VMware came out. That's on the MySecurity Marketplace now. And just some key findings. Let me just blow that up so you can actually read it. In fact, I might as well give it full. 57% of surveyed financial institutions noted an increase of wire transfer fraud. 54% of surveyed financial institutions experienced destructive attacks, 118% increase from 2020. 41% experienced an increase in brokerage account takeover. 51% attacks that targeted market strategies. Cyber criminals have learned that the most valuable asset of a bank is non-public market information that can be used to facilitate digital insider trading and front running, as observed by VMware cybersecurity strategists. So they're front running on insider trading now. Okay, very good. 38% an attack wherein an organization's information supply chain is commandeered to attack the institution from within its trusted supply chain. So that's a 38% increase in island hopping is the term that they use for that one. And a 41% observed the manipulation of timestamps. Time is a fundamental element in both fintech and finance. Cyber criminals recognize they can evade detection by manipulating time. And this came up with our IoT security with Cato Networks last week. actually. So that one, particularly with malware in sandboxes and the like. So they're getting pretty clever, and I'll give them kudos for that. And yeah, worth having a look. So that report is available amongst all of our other resources on the MySecurity Marketplace. That's it from us. If you want to read some more, check out the Cyber Risk Leaders magazine, and otherwise support the channel and go to MySecurity or MySecTV.shop and check out our Cyber War series. Thank you very much for joining us. It's great to be back on LinkedIn again after a couple of sleepy moments there. And do enjoy your day, and we'll tune back in on Tuesday. I've got a couple of guests interested there. We might be talking on an Interpol project, but I'll wait to confirm with that. But otherwise, we're out of here, and enjoy your